Video conferencing norms and etiquette. The things now due to the COVID-19 pandemic you must all of a sudden learn, unless maybe you already know them. A lot of things are different, but a lot of things are the same. And in the end, we must just evolve and overcome the downfalls of the individual things that are a negative result of an increased use in video conferencing and embrace the upsides. A lot of things that remain the same. The way you dress for a meeting or meeting with your friends is going to be the same regardless if you're meeting in person or on Zoom, appropriate for the occasion. Same with your language you're using, and the general way you act is all going to kind of remain the same regardless if you were in person or using video conferencing, regardless what context you're in. More relaxed setting with friends, a lot more formal with, say, business colleagues in a business meeting. Things that are different. Meetings are always going to be planned now. You're not going to have a conversation with someone just because you happen to bump into them doing something you love, say sharing the same bike trail. Now a meeting is definitely only going to happen if it's actually planned to be a meeting. You're only going to be there for the sake of the meeting. Another thing that's very different is the setting that you're in. Now you're bringing people always into your home, and you're visiting their home simultaneously. So it sets up a bit of a weird dynamic, being that you're both in the safe space of your home, as well as feeling like you're invading someone else's, as well as feeling like someone else is invading yours. You're always in the same setting. You're always a head on a screen in that setting solely for the purpose of communication. You're not doing something you love and talking to someone on the side. You are there to communicate with them. It sets up a bit of a expected need for a more distinguished interaction, communication, than it would if you were having to be doing something else. When you're busy doing something, silent time isn't an awkward silence. It's just you're doing what you're doing. You're not talking at the moment. When you're there to talk, awkward silence is awkward silence. We now get the same level of interaction with someone if they're a good friend from our hometown that we're just not seeing because of a COVID bubble, versus someone across the world, which has both its pros and cons. You might be more interacting with the person across the world than you used to, but also interacting less with your best friend who just happens to live across town and you're not in the same social bubble. Either way, you only get so much of that. A lot less little encounters than you used to have. You're not going to set up a Zoom meeting with the person that you saw every now and then at the climbing wall and would talk about climbing briefly and then move on your day. It's just not going to happen. And in that, there's just no chance encounters anymore. So there's some good, there's some bad with the change. In the end, we're going to evolve to accept the bad for what it is and try to overcome it, learn the new ways, and move on. In the end, yes, we have to learn the new norms, but ultimately we're evolving the norms that have always been the norms for interaction with each other and just applying them differently to our new ways of communication.